What if you've never really died? What if every time you thought it was the end was actually the beginning of a new trap? A reset. Not for healing, but for control. See, we've been told a story, a very comforting one, that after death, we find peace or judgment or a blank slate. But what if none of that is true? What if the tunnel of light isn't salvation but bait? What if your last moment of life is also your most vulnerable? Because in that moment, between worlds, you're open and anchored, easily guided, easily redirected. And if someone or something is waiting for you at that threshold, what are they guiding you into? You think you're making a choice? But what if the choice has been scripted? What if the entire afterlife, the light, the voices, the warmth, is an illusion? A high-resolution simulation built from your beliefs, your memories, your expectations, projected to keep your soul obedient, not free. Because if consciousness survives death, and growing research says it does, then what happens at half TER is not just spiritual, it's strategic. And if that moment is being engineered by entities, systems, or tech you've never even imagined, then you need to know now, not later. Not when it's too late, now. Because the biggest lie ever told wasn't about who you are. It was about what happens when you die. This video is not here to scare you. It's here to prepare you. Because if the cycle of life and death is being hacked, then remembering who you are might be the only way out. If you're still here, still listening, then you already feel it. Something's off. You were never meant to stay in this loop. You were meant to awaken from it. So don't scroll away. Don't go back to sleep. You're about to understand why they've done everything to keep you in the dark, and why waking up, truly waking up, could be the most dangerous thing you'll ever do. Click subscribe. Turn on notifications. That's how you beat the algorithm and keep seeing the truth. Let's be clear. This isn't a theory. This isn't science fiction. And it's not some recycled spiritual cliche about energy or souls floating in the ether. This is about control, the most ancient form of it. The kind that doesn't govern your body. It governs your exit. See, for thousands of years, every civilization, every religion, every spiritual system has obsessed over one thing: what happens when we die? But while the stories differ, heaven, hell, reincarnation, oblivion, the pattern stays the same. You leave the body, you see a light, you feel love, and then somehow you come back. But what if that's not a spiritual journey? What if it's a system designed to wipe your memory, drain your energy, and send you back into another body, not for growth, not for healing, but for containment? The Gnostics called it the archontic trap, false matrix that recycles souls to feed parasitic entities. Mystics called it the veil, web of illusion that seduces the soul back into the cycle. Now, modern researchers, whistleblowers, and even military insiders are hinting at something similar. A spiritual mechanism, hijacked by technology, controlled by forces that don't want you to leave the game. So here's the question. If you were being spiritually manipulated at the moment of death, how would you even know? Would you question the light? Would you resist the peace? Would you remember who you are? Or would you follow the path right back into the same cycle you've been trapped in for lifetimes? This video is your invitation to remember, to question everything you've been told, to wake up not just in life, but in death. Because if you don't wake up at that moment, someone else decides where you go next. And that is the real war. Now let me ask you something. What do you think happens when you die? Not what you've been told. What do you feel deep down is true? Tell us in the comments. Your insight might wake up someone else. They told you death is the end. They told you it's peace, or judgment, or nothing. But what if it's none of that? What if death is a trap? Let's break it down, not with superstition, but with patterns. Patterns that show up in every culture, every age, and now in modern science. Because when you look closely, a disturbing truth begins to emerge. You're not supposed to remember, not your past lives, not your origins, not the game you're stuck in. Because forgetting keeps you compliant. It keeps you spinning. It keeps you recyclable. Everyone's heard it. Go to the light. Near-death experiences almost always include it: a tunnel, a radiant glow, a feeling of overwhelming love and peace. It sounds comforting, but think about it. Why would every soul, from every culture, across every timeline, see the same exact phenomenon? A light, a tunnel, a pull. That's not spirituality. That's a protocol. Imagine a fly zapper. The light is beautiful, inviting. It looks like freedom, but it's bait. The Tibetan Book of the Dead warns of this, describing death as a hallucination filled with projections meant to lure the soul. It tells you to recognize the visions for what they are: traps. Because if you don't, you go back. And modern experiencers back this up. Many describe being gently guided back into a body. But those who resist, they describe something else. The love turns conditional. The peace turns cold. The light becomes demanding. If this was your choice, why does it pressure you? Does it punish resistance? That's not spiritual guidance. That's behavioral programming. Ancient wisdom always emphasized preparation for death. Not because they feared it, but because they knew the moment of death was the most manipulable. The Gnostics trained to recognize the archons, entities that posed as angels, but fed off the soul. The Egyptians aligned their pyramids too, specific star systems to help guide the soul past false gates. The Tibetans practiced lucid dreaming and bardo meditation to become conscious in death. Why? Because awareness is the only weapon that works past the body. Not belief, not faith. Conscious observation. You don't resist a trap by screaming. You resist by seeing it, calling it what it is, refusing the illusion. And you can't do that if you die in confusion, guilt, fear, or emotional chaos. Everything in the universe is vibration. That's not New Age fluff. That's physics. Your heart beats at a frequency. Your brain operates in waves. Even your thoughts have resonance. So what happens if someone tunes your signal, enters your frequency, modifies it? That's not speculation. There are patents, real declassified patents, for tech that uses electromagnetic pulses to induce emotions, hallucinations, even OBEs, out-of-body experiences. If they can do that in life, what do you think they can do when you're disembodied? You're taught to expect love and peace when you die. But what if those feelings are just frequencies projected into your awareness? What if the light is artificially generated, calibrated to match your faith, your memories, your attachments? Like a synthetic afterlife custom-built to soothe you into the trap. That's not sacred. That's science used for soul control. Ancient cultures knew the power of frequency. That's why they used mantras, chants, drums, resonance chambers. Not to feel good, but to train the soul's vibration, to harmonize it. Because when your frequency is coherent, it can't be hijacked. It stays intact, even through death. Start small. Observe how your environment shapes your energy. EMFs, artificial lighting, algorithmic content. They're detuning you. Now amplify. Detox your field. Silence, breath, sound, fasting, nature. Not rituals for show, calibration tools. Because when you leave this body, you need to be vibrating at your signal, and not one they can intercept. Ever wonder why? Almost no. One remembers their past lives. Why you come into the world a blank slate, even after countless incarnations. It's not just because memory resets. It's designed that way. If you remembered, you'd remember who you are. And if you remembered who you are, you'd stop playing the game. Religions hint at it. Reincarnation, karma, the cycle of birth and death. But here's the thing. Cycles are only beautiful when they're chosen, when they're forced. Prisons. The soul trap works like this. You die. You're pulled to the light. You're judged not by truth, but by guilt. You're told you didn't finish your mission. You're sent back. With no memory, no sovereignty, no choice. They call it lessons. But it's amnesia wrapped in mysticism. And it keeps your energy flowing into the system, lifetime after lifetime. You don't need to escape life. You need to exit it with awareness. Start viewing this life not as a playground, but as training. Every emotion you avoid, every trigger you suppress, every belief you outsource, it becomes your anchor. And if you're still carrying those at death, that's how they pull you back in. The key isn't to transcend emotion, it's to become fully lucid inside it. Lucid anger, lucid fear, lucid grief. Why? Because lucidity breaks illusion, and illusion is the weapon of the trap. Right now, your energy is being siphoned by your phone, by your feed, by the noise that keeps you from remembering who you are. That's not accidental. It's strategic. Because the more distracted you are in life, the more influenceable you are in death. They tell you everything is your choice. You chose to be here. You chose this life. You chose this pain. But did you choose to forget your name before you were born? Did you choose a system that hides the rules, then blames you for failing them? Were you guided, nudged, convinced that obedience is free will? That's not autonomy. That's a loop disguised as liberation. Imagine this. You walk into a maze. The walls are mirrors. The exits are fake. And every time you hit a dead end, a kind voice says, try again. You're not free. You're reprogrammable. It's how the soul trap works. True freedom isn't doing whatever you want. It's knowing why you want it. The soul that escapes the trap doesn't just resist. It remembers. Remembers that freedom is internal alignment, not external indulgence. The more you clear your intentions, the more your choices are yours. And at the moment of death, that's everything. Because if your desires are contaminated by fear, guilt, or false light, your next incarnation won't be yours. It'll be assigned. Today's spirituality is a shopping cart. Affirmation decks, vibe bracelets, mantras on coffee mugs. But where's the fire? Where's the sacred rage? The soul armor? The warrior inside you that was born to escape? They replaced real spiritual training with aesthetic. Meditation isn't a product. It's not 10 minutes on an app while your phone listens in. It's a tool for soul anchoring, but they've made it soft. They neutered the path. Why? Because real awakening is messy, loud, and impossible to monetize. Forget clean awakenings. Real ones shake you, burn you, rebuild you. You're not here to float, you're here to pierce the veil. It means confronting your shadow, owning your trauma, ripping the masks off your beliefs, asking the questions no one wants to hear. Who benefits from my sleep? What is this reality trying to hide? Who am I when everything else is stripped away? It's only when you walk through the fire can you hold your truth through death. They told you spiritual people are calm, peaceful, smiling all the time. No, you're not soft. You're not meant to be. You are stardust wrapped in memory, a frequency tuned to eternity. Your strength isn't in your smile, it's in your clarity. And clarity terrifies them. Look around you, smart homes, smart watches, smart everything. But what about the soul? While you scroll, they build neural interfaces. Emotion tracking AI tech that knows what you want before you do. They've mapped your patterns, your rhythms, your emotional triggers. Why? Because the next step isn't controlling your life, it's controlling your death. The closer we get to unlocking consciousness, the more control they want over your transition. You think your last breath is yours, not if it's being surveilled. Not if your thoughts are being modeled in real time. Not if your frequency is already inside a database. You don't have to abandon tech. You have to see through it. Every time you engage, ask, is this feeding my clarity or my confusion? Is this aligning me or fragmenting me? Your energy is sacred. Guard it. Set tech boundaries. Control inputs. Use tools, don't be used. Because the more conscious you are now, the more protected you are then. And in death, that line is razor thin. This life isn't a vacation, it's training. It's training to think clearly in chaos, to feel fully in pain, to decide with no one watching. Every act of awareness builds the muscle that will defend you at death. Sleep isn't just for rest, it's rehearsal. Dreams aren't random, they're maps, test runs for leaving the body. Start keeping a dream journal. Start asking for clarity before sleep, because if you can stay lucid in dreams, you can stay lucid in the moment of departure. And that's everything. You're told it's a blessing to forget past lives. Start fresh, they say. A clean slate. It's for your own good. But think, who benefits when you forget? Who profits when your soul, ageless, powerful, knowing, comes back as a child with no menor maori, no menor marinari, no menor marinari, no menor marinari? That's not protection, that's sabotage. Imagine a master losing their skills, a warrior waking up in a prison, believing they're weak. That's what memory wipe is. It's not mercy, containment. Your memories aren't gone. They're encrypted. It's buried under trauma, doubt, distraction, but they can be retrieved through trance work, through dreams, through the body. Your body holds keys. The chills you get when hearing ancient chants, the places you're drawn to for no reason, the skills you've never trained for but always had, that's your archive leaking through. Don't ignore it. Follow it. That's the map out. At the edge of death, you'll see a light. They say it's peace, home, God. But is it, or is it a signal tuned to your beliefs? A projection matching your culture, your memories? See loved ones, not because they're there, but because that's what calms you. You hear your name, feel love, but what if it's synthetic? A frequency trap tailored to lure you in. Someone wanted your soul, they wouldn't chase it. They'd invite it, lovingly. You can't improvise this. When that moment comes, you'll either react or remember. Start preparing now, not with fear, with precision. Learn to recognize your energy. Learn to feel what's yours and what's not. Because if you don't know your own signal, you'll chase the first one that feels familiar. And that's how the trap wins. Think of your soul like a musical note. When it's in tune, no illusion sticks. When it's out of tune, everything pulls you off course. So tune it daily. With food, with breath, with silence. Sacred geometry isn't decoration, it's memory. Mantras aren't superstition, they're alignment. Sound isn't just heard, it's felt. And when death comes, you won't follow the light. You'll follow the frequency that feels like home. We live in a culture built on noise. Every second, scroll, swipe, alert, ping. And under it all, a silent screaming, but you never hear it because you're too busy, too stimulated, too exhausted. It's not an accident, it's a design. Because in silence, you'd feel it. The dissonance. The knowing that this life, this world, is not all there is. Distraction is the modern prison. It doesn't need walls, just Wi-Fi. You don't need to escape. You need to pause. Silence isn't the absence of sound, it's the presence of you. Every time you unplug, you reclaim ground. Every time you sit with discomfort, you get clearer. Do it daily. One breath, one still minute. One honest question. Who am I beyond the noise? Because that is who will face the transition, and that is who must be awake. Many wake up halfway, they see the illusion, they question the rules. They feel the system is off, and then they settle. They build a new identity around being awake. They share quotes, feel superior, but they stop. They think awareness is the end. It's not, it's the beginning. The trap is layered. And even the enlightened can be looped if they mistake the map for the destination. Don't stop at the door. Walk through it. Beyond the spiritual identity, beyond the seeker, become the seer. The one who watches even the watching. The one who questions even the sacred. Truth doesn't fear questions, illusions do. So ask, is this my awakening or just a prettier version of the cage? Because at death, clarity is currency. And only the soul that sees through all of it walks free. You are not here to play the game better. You are here to leave the game completely. That requires one thing: radical clarity. Not borrowed beliefs, not recycled mantras. Your clarity, your presence, your power. And no one can take that from you unless you give it away. What if everything you just heard was only the beginning? What if the system doesn't end at death, but simply evolves into something more subtle, more convincing? They don't need to lie to you anymore. They just let you lie to yourself. But now, you've seen too much. The pieces are clicking. The questions are forming, and the silence around them feels louder than ever. Good. That means you're awake enough to notice. But here's the real test. Will you act on it? Because knowledge without application is just another form of sleep. If you think this video is intense, wait until you see what comes next. This wasn't a conclusion. It was a threshold, and what's waiting for you on the other side. Only everything they've tried to erase. Click the video that's appearing on your screen right now. Not just because it's next, but because it might be the missing piece you've been searching for your entire life. No more sleepwalking, no more forgetting. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.